Everyone thinks Sony is done, like they already peaked with the A7R V. But what I'm about to tell you will completely flip that idea upside down. Because right now, deep in the camera world, something big is happening, and it's not officially announced yet. The Sony A7R VI is quietly becoming the most talked about upcoming full-frame camera. Not because it's just another upgrade, but because the leaks and rumors suggest it might be a serious game changer. And if even half of these rumors are true, then Sony is preparing to drop something that could redefine what high-resolution mirrorless even means in 2026. So if you're a photographer, a videographer, a content creator, or someone about to spend thousands on a new camera, do not make a move until you hear this full breakdown, because buying the wrong camera now could be the biggest regret of your entire gear journey. First, let's talk about why the Sony A7R VI even matters. Because for a long time, the A7R line has been about one thing: extreme detail. These are the cameras made for people who obsess over sharpness, dynamic range, and images that look like you could step inside them. The A7R V already gave us 61 megapixels, insane autofocus, and serious image stabilization. So naturally, most people assumed the next model would be a boring update. Slightly faster, slightly better, same story. But that's not what leaks are suggesting. The whispers around Sony's A7R VI sound like Sony wants to make this camera faster, smarter, and more cinematic, while keeping it ultra-high resolution. And that combination is exactly what the camera world has been waiting for. Now let's get into the leaks everyone is talking about. The sensor. The biggest rumor right now is that Sony may introduce a brand new sensor for the A7R VI, possibly a partially stacked sensor design. And if you're not a tech nerd, don't worry, I'll explain why that matters in plain English. Traditional high-resolution sensors are amazing at detail, but they're slow. That slowness creates rolling shutter, which makes fast movement look warped, like bending straight lines, wobbling buildings, and weird motion distortions. Stacked sensors fix that because they read data faster. So if Sony brings partially stacked tech into the A7R VI, you're getting the best of both worlds: ultra-high resolution and much faster readout speed. That means cleaner motion, better burst shooting, improved autofocus performance, and video that looks more professional without annoying artifacts. And honestly, this one upgrade alone could make the A7R VI the most balanced high-resolution camera ever released. But the sensor rumor doesn't end there. Some sources are claiming Sony could push beyond 61 megapixels, potentially into the 80 MP zone, maybe even higher. Now, take that in for a second. Imagine a full-frame camera producing images with so much detail that you can crop in like crazy and still keep professional-level quality. Landscape shooters would go insane. Fashion photographers would love it. Product photographers could zoom in so close that you see texture the human eye misses. And for commercial creators, it means one photo could become 5 different images. One shot becomes a billboard crop, a vertical version, a tight crop, a wide crop, and still look crystal clear. This is exactly why high megapixel cameras are becoming the hidden cheat code for creators who want maximum flexibility. But here's where it gets even crazier. Because Sony might not just boost resolution, they might boost dynamic range too. And dynamic range is what separates a good photo from a jaw-dropping photo. It's that cinematic look where the highlights aren't blown out, the shadows aren't crushed, and you still see detail everywhere. If the A7R VI delivers better dynamic range at low to medium ISO, it could become the ultimate camera for natural light shooters. The kind of camera where you can shoot in harsh sunlight and still recover everything in post. That's the type of upgrade professionals actually care about more than megapixels. And Sony knows that. Now let's talk about autofocus, because this is where Sony has been quietly dominating for years. Sony's AI autofocus systems are already scary good. They can track eyes, faces, bodies, birds, cars, and they lock on like a heat-seeking missile. But leaks suggest the A7R VI might get an even more advanced AI processing upgrade, meaning faster subject recognition, better tracking in chow, tick scenes, and improved performance in low light. And here's why that matters. High megapixel cameras are unforgiving. When you have insane detail, even slight missed focus destroys the image. So if Sony improves autofocus even further, it's basically making the A7R6 an ultra-high resolution camera that still feels easy to shoot. That is rare. Most high-res cameras demand perfection from you. Sony might be making one that does the perfection for you. Now let's address video, because this is the part nobody wants to admit. Modern creators don't want photo camera or video camera. They want one camera that does both. And Sony knows that. That's why leaks are suggesting the Sony A7R6 could bring next-level video upgrades. There's talk about possible 8K features becoming stronger in the A7R line. And even if you don't upload in 8K, it still matters because shooting in 8K lets you crop, stabilize, and reframe without losing 4K quality. That means if you shoot interviews, weddings, YouTube content, documentaries, 8K becomes a secret weapon. And Sony is in a perfect position to make that happen because they already dominate sensors across the industry. But let's be real, people don't just want 8K. They want clean 4K with no crop, good rolling shutter control, and better heat handling. And if the A7R6 really uses a faster sensor, this could mean oversampled 4K that looks unbelievably sharp with less wobble and distortion. That is huge. Because right now, one of the biggest complaints about high megapixel cameras is rolling shutter during video. Sony might finally solve that problem without forcing you to buy an A1 level camera. And speaking of A1, this is where Sony's strategy becomes interesting. Sony has multiple lines, A7 IV or A7V for hybrid, A7S for video, A7R for resolution, and A1 as the flagship monster. The big question is, where does A7R6 fit? If Sony upgrades the A7R6 too much, it starts eating into A1 territory. So Sony has to make it powerful without making it too perfect. That means the A7R6 might become the smartest choice for 80% of creators, because it gives premium image quality and strong video without the insane A1 price tag. If Sony prices it right, this camera could destroy competition. Now let's talk about stabilization. Leaks suggest Sony may improve IBIS even more. And that matters more than people think. In 2026, creators want handheld cinematic shots without rigs. They want to travel light. They want to shoot content instantly. Better stabilization means smoother handheld footage, sharper low-shutter photos, and more confidence shooting without a tripod. It also means your expensive lenses suddenly become more powerful because the body can handle micro-shake better. And if Sony pairs better IBIS with smart stabilization software improvements, the A7R6 could become a handheld powerhouse. And now, let's address the thing that will make people either love this camera or skip it. Heat and workflow. High megapixel cameras create massive files. That means storage gets expensive. Editing gets heavier. Your SD cards fill faster. Your hard drives cry. Your computer fans sound like jet engines. Sony knows this too. So there's a chance the A7R6 will improve compression, processing efficiency, and internal performance. Maybe faster CF Express support, better buffer, faster burst workflow. And if you're someone who shoots thousands of images, weddings, sports, wildlife, buffer and workflow is not a luxury. It's the difference between landing the shot and missing the moment. Now let's talk about burst shooting. The A7R series has traditionally not been the fastest shooter because of high resolution. But if partially stacked sensor rumors are true, burst shooting might jump significantly. That means the A7R6 could become something we've never really seen before, a high-resolution camera that can actually handle action properly. Wildlife photographers could shoot birds with detail and speed. Sports shooters could crop aggressively and still keep resolution. That would basically turn the A7R6 into a secret sports camera, something no one expects from an A7R. Now here's a part nobody is talking about enough: Sony's timing. Leaks point toward this camera arriving in 2026, possibly late 2026. That means Sony is taking their time. And when Sony takes their time, it usually means something big is cooking. Because Sony didn't need to rush, the A7R V is still strong. So Sony S likely waiting to introduce real next-generation sensor tech. Not just marketing upgrades, real engineering upgrades. But what does that mean for you? It means we are in a danger zone right now. Because if you buy an expensive camera today, and then Sony drops the A7R VI with a huge leap in sensor and speed, your camera instantly feels outdated. And I'm not saying don't buy anything. I'm saying you need to buy smart. If you're a working pro and you must shoot now, get what works now. But if you can wait, waiting might save you from regret. Because the A7R VI could be that rare camera that makes people say, yeah, this is the one. Now, let's predict pricing. Nobody has confirmed the price, but based on Sony's current trends, it could land around the $3,999 to $4,499 range. And if you're shocked, remember, Sony knows this is a premium tool. It's not for beginners. It's for professionals, semi-pros, serious creators, and camera enthusiasts who are ready to invest in quality. And if the sensor truly improves and video truly upgrades, that price becomes justified. Because it's not just a camera, it's a production machine. Now let's compare it mentally to its rivals. Canon's high-resolution line is strong, Nikon is improving fast, and even Panasonic is stepping up. But Sony's biggest advantage is this. Sony builds the sensor tech. They control the future. When Sony upgrades a sensor, the entire industry feels it. That's why the A7R VI rumor is so exciting. Not because it's another camera, but because it could introduce sensor technology that becomes the standard for future full-frame cameras. And if that happens, the A7R VI becomes a historic release.